As a creative freelancer, I wish I started this YouTube channel way earlier than I did. Amongst all the other things that I have to do, squeezing in a weekly YouTube video seemed pretty daunting at first. It seemed like there was no way that I could even find the time to do that amongst my job as a freelance video editor and videographer. And now I have a pretty solid system of getting out almost weekly videos, unless something pretty crazy happens with my work, and that has to be the priority over making videos online like this, where currently I'm not making that much money from it. And as difficult as the process of making a YouTube video can be sometimes, I mean, some videos literally take 20, maybe 30 hours to go from an idea in my brain, planning it, scripting it, shot listing it, shooting it, editing it, and then eventually hitting the publish button to get it out into the world on this platform. I never regret hitting that publish button. I've once, of the 80 plus videos I think I've made now, I've never hit release and then sat there in my chair like, that was a waste of time. Ugh. I have kind of a little bit of a white lie in a way, because I have felt some sense of like disappointment, not so much regret, just more disappointment, because I feel like I've made some videos that are really, really good, but for whatever reason, the algorithm or the audience hasn't quite found them yet. When I feel like the videos are really good and the view count doesn't correlate to the quality that I feel like they have. This is just the nature with having a channel. Sometimes you release a video and that took like 30, 40 hours, and then you release a video that barely took any time, unscripted, and that video happens to get way more views, and you don't actually think yourself that it's a great video, but for some reason, a lot of the audience do. But one of the core things that I've noticed and kind of felt for a long time, and doing YouTube videos has only cemented my opinion, is that as creative freelancers, or not, even if you're not a creative freelancer, if you're just a freelancer of any kind, you can't rely on the traditional methods of marketing and advertising your work. I've suffered from this a lot, especially going to film school and thinking that, oh, people should hire me because they realize that Adam is a great filmmaker and his skills are awesome, and I want to work with Adam because he's the most talented filmmaker that I know, and I want him to be my cinematographer to shoot this project. Yes, that has happened sometimes, but I think I started to realize after I'd graduated university in my early 20s that most of the jobs that I ended up getting in the film industry early on wasn't because I was the best. Certainly wasn't the best filmmaker out there, or even the best lighting trainee or camera trainee, which is what I was initially doing. I realized that I just went for things more than perhaps other people, or I did a bit more than the average person would do to get the job. For instance, I would call a company rather than emailing a company to ask for work. I would send a custom video to their inbox rather than sending just an email to ask for some sort of collaboration or a job opportunity. And just putting in this extra effort, because it is extra effort, it requires a bit more research, requires more time to do these things. I just found that quantity over quality approach worked a lot. And I think my first indication of using social media as a form of getting work was actually early on in this YouTube channel, like many years ago, when I made videos that are now unlisted because they're just too cringe for me to like want to put on the channel. Maybe one day I'll unlist them so you can watch. Actually, if you send me a DM on Instagram, I'll send you the unlisted link so you can really compare what I'm like speaking in front of the camera now versus back then. But I made videos that were kind of candid thoughts about my whole freelance life and what I was going through in life then as a freelancer, trying to figure out what to do and how to make money, etc. And I made like a couple videos, but those videos ended up being seen by a lot of people in my social circle on Facebook and Instagram, where I was sharing them. And what happened was I would actually get emails from producers, film producers, to say, hey Adam, like just saw your video, like I really liked it for XYZ reason. Are you free tomorrow? Because we've got a shoot coming up, we need a trainee. Yes, it could have just been a coincidence that they already had a shoot coming up and they needed to, you know, get crew for that. But I think that wasn't the case. I think what happened, and a mantra that I've had for a long time, is that I reminded people that I exist, right? I put myself out there in a candid and sometimes slightly vulnerable way that resonated with some of the people who watched it. And it kind of humanized me in a way. Like I wasn't posting on social media like, look at me and going on this cool holiday and doing all this cool stuff. Like I wasn't trying to brag. I was just more trying to share what I was going through. And that resonated with some people, and that humanized me. And then that made people like me and want to give me opportunities that they could have easily give to 20 other people who were way better than me and way more qualified. But I would get the roles and the jobs and the opportunities that they didn't, just because I was willing to put myself out there on a camera and share what I was going through and kind of create some parasocial connection to somebody else who was watching it. And this ability to speak in front of the camera in the way that I have now, it's a lifelong skill. And it's a skill that is only going to become more valuable throughout the years as the years progress and everything becomes more digital than it already has. I don't know how that's possible. I guess Apple AR, VR glasses is another extension of that. And you don't have to have a ridiculously extroverted personality to even capitalize on this skill set or to build it. Like, I'm definitely more of an extrovert than an introvert, but I'm not like a crazy, kind of person. Like, I want to try to come across as pretty normal as I can, or as real as I am in real life. And I think that is the ultimate litmus test, is you'll keep making videos, feel a real big disconnection of, that doesn't sound like me, that doesn't look like me, I don't act like that on camera. And then the closer you can get to being a real life version of yourself, then you're actually getting pretty good at this. And I've tested that with my friends, where when I started really putting out videos, I would ask them like, what do you think of them? And the best compliment that I could get was that you come across exactly the same on camera as I know you to be in person when we hang out. And that can take who knows how long, depending on the person, depending on the skill set. Technically for me, it took years because I was silently releasing YouTube videos, but with very, very big gaps. And only in the last 1 or 2 years, I feel like I'm basically like exactly at how I am in person to what I'm like as I present on camera. I don't really hold microphones walking around talking to people, but that's a bit of a difference. As a freelancer putting content out on YouTube, you're going to be building so many other skills, and you're also going to be using a skill that you realize that you can use in other areas of your freelance job. So for me, I've been recently applying to a bunch of editing jobs and being able to send custom videos to clients rather than just sending an email like, I am a YouTube video editor, hey, like, you should hire me. Big YouTube channels have responded saying like, well, okay, thanks so much for the custom video message. It's such a good personal touch. And then they would subsequently give me the opportunity to do a trial edit, all because I'm definitely not the most qualified YouTube video editor. Probably not even, no, I'm definitely not the most skilled. Not even probably. I'm not the most skilled YouTube editor out there. But what 3 years of posting content on this channel has allowed me to do is be able to speak on camera in a way that is actually authentic and genuine, and with the ability to express what is like in my head and I want to share to somebody else who is at the other side of the world maybe. So that's a big example of a skill that will consistently be useful to you if you take the time to build it by putting the camera, setting it down on your tripod, and doing the talking to camera. I don't want to go too deep into the whole section of like, what if you're scared or anxious about putting yourself on camera, because it's a massive topic. I made another video about it, which I'll leave in the description, that you can check out for some more details on like how to get over that anxiety or that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I can't do this, I feel weird speaking in front of the camera. There's a lot of ways and mindsets that you can get around that. So check out the video in the description to learn more about that after you've watched this video. But just remember, as I said, you don't have to be the best. It's just about being able to communicate what your personality is like, what your vibe is like, and being able to showcase that to somebody else, because ultimately people hire people. We hire people that we like or get along with, which is why previously in a lot of freelance creative industries, it was all nepotism. You would just hire friends of friends or family, and like anybody who was outside that, you would have to take so much effort and time to like poke through the bubble of this social scene in whatever creative industry you wanted to be a part of. And then once you broke through that, eventually you could work your way up. Now with YouTube, it's like very much democratized. Like if you're making good content and it resonates with people, people are going to like you and they're going to want to watch you and they're going to want to hear what you have to say. And they're probably also going to want to hire you if you have a service of some kind to sell. I've also even had comments where people have said they would rather listen to me talk about a topic than a big YouTuber, just because they like the way I talk and present something, which is still a crazy thing to me, that even if there's like a big YouTuber who has so many fans and followers, they prefer hearing me talk about the same topic as them, just because of the vibe that I have and the way that I can explain and the way they feel this parasocial connection to me. I think as soon as I realized that and got validation of that is the case, then you can start to feel a bit more confident putting yourself out on camera, because the people who don't like you and don't vibe with you are not going to watch your videos anyway. And the people who do are the ones who actually want to hear what you have to say and care about your perspective and opinion on a topic that maybe many other YouTubers are making videos about, but the way you explain it with your particular personality, your particular history and life experiences all amount to you being able to actually connect with people and explain a topic in a way that somebody else did it. It just wouldn't hit as hard or help that person pay attention to sit down and watch a 10-minute video about the topic because they just don't vibe with that person, but they happen to vibe with you for whatever reason. And now you have to just take people behind the scenes, as the awesome book Show Your Work talks about. People care arguably more of like showing the behind the scenes of how you created something than the thing itself. Like I had this when I was a kid. Like I'd watch DVD extras of how they made a certain movie that I liked, and I would often find that equally as enjoyable to the movie itself, just knowing like what was the craft behind making the thing. And it seems that people care about this more than maybe ever in the history of creativity, to the point where if, for example, you're a video editor like me, you can show somebody like, hey, this is this cool video that I've made. But if you showed them, hey, there's this cool video that I made and here's all the behind the scenes and here's the edit timeline and here was like the plan of how I was going to structure it, and seeing that process, that kind of thinking and like the behind the scenes of the idea and of the finished product, that makes me feel more connected to that person. It validates their skills even more than the actual end product, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Come to think of it, it's probably also because it demystifies what it took to make that thing, and therefore that makes you more like a human than just this like emotionless robot who's like, I have a video to edit and then it's done. Like if you can share from a human point of view what actually you wanted to do, like what was the intention behind all the steps that got you to the end piece of artwork or the end piece of music, that actually makes you more like a human that somebody can connect to and understand, more so than leaving all of that out and just being like, yeah, I make up music, here you go, enjoy the music. Yeah, I don't really want to be friends with that guy as much as the guy who's like, yeah, I f***ed up this animation, or here was this music, and then here was the version 1 of this music, and here and and
all this here. Never cleaned that up.
But then I made it, and now you like the music. I don't know what kind of freelancers are watching this video right now, but one of the things that oddly a benefit about posting on YouTube, an additional one that I didn't really fully grasp until I started doing it, is the frequency of being able to go from something that is just an idea in your head and then transforming that into a finished product that is like given and put out to the world in a short period of time. Most times, especially when I was working on music video projects and commercials, it could be weeks or months before I actually got to see like the finished TV commercial on TV. But with YouTube, the turnaround time, depending on what you set, can be super fast. And I just get that kind of creative dopamine hit of, you know, actually finishing something rather than letting it just be sat on my computer for weeks and weeks. I have this with music production. Like I've been trying to learn music production. I've had songs sat on my computer for months and months and months and just haven't put the time into finishing them. But if I had like a record producer next to me like, hey Adam, you gotta finish that song, I would get it done in a week and it would be out, and I probably wouldn't be like, oh, it's out, I could have done so much more on that, because ultimately as a creative, that's how you learn. You learn by like finishing the thing and then realizing how crap it is and then actually doing all the tweaks and changes and learning lessons that you took from releasing that thing to your next song. That's hard for me as someone who's trying to learn music because I don't have a boss and I just want to spend all the time on it to make it perfect, which is a BS concept because perfectionism doesn't exist in creativity as much as I wish it did. As a final note, let's talk a little bit about money, because I think this is probably one of the core reasons why people see that YouTube might be worth it is, oh, well, if I make YouTube videos, I see all these other creators who are freelancers who are making money on YouTube. And, you know, by doing that, they can support their ability to build up their career and they don't have to take that like Starbucks job just to pay their rent. This also definitely pulled me in to the YouTube thing a little bit. It was a year in until I got monetized. I would say though, I don't make that much money on YouTube. Like I'll show on the screen now what my last month's money was. And it's fine. Like it's better than nothing, right? Having that money in my bank account is a nice thing to have, but it can't just do YouTube and that's it. I still have to do my video editing and videography for other clients, or else I'd be homeless on the street or have to sell a lot of gear that I own. just to be able to survive. But once you actually do start to make a little bit of money on YouTube, it starts to open your eyes to the level that the big YouTubers that you admire, they're making so much money. And if you're making this much money and you're like, I've only just started making YouTube. If my videos were getting hundreds of thousands more views, I would be getting so much money. And it really puts into perspective and demystifies this idea of making money on YouTube, because so many people make so much money on YouTube. It's ridiculous. I know some people on this platform who are able to charge like $3,000 just to say, and this video is sponsored by blah, 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 blah. It's like, you can make 3 grand from that. What the hell? Like, I've never had a sponsor yet. Please contact me, sponsors, a good sponsor. But yeah, just hearing that is like, whoa, that is the level that you can reach. 3 grand. And I'm sure there's bigger YouTubers that charge way more than that. But just knowing that that is possible and experiencing the act of putting out content and making a little bit of money, I would say you feel a lot more motivated. You feel like if you don't get validated by views and comments early on, which maybe won't happen for you depending on the size of your audience in the beginning, you could at least feel validated by getting like a check from Google every month, to know that people are watching this and it is growing every month, and it's only a matter of time with compound interest for that to grow into something that is an amount of money that would make you feel like, oh, holy crap, this is great. And I'm so glad that I started this and I don't regret it one bit. So try and treat YouTube like an investment, like the same kind of investment that you were doing when you were initially starting up with your creative craft, when you were learning all these initial important skills that led you to being good or even being interested in doing this skill as a job or as an actual full-time job or part-time job that you might be doing right now. And even if for whatever reason, absolutely nothing ever comes from it and you quit somewhere later down the line because you just really feel like YouTube isn't for you, you will have at least built ridiculously valuable skills, speaking in front of the camera, being able to like convey your personality to a camera and to an audience, and to hear feedback from an audience who like, admire, and care about what you have to say. These are all instantly transferable to so many skills that you need as a freelancer, and are only going to put you one step ahead of all the other freelancers who are way better than you in your discipline, but you can outshine them because you've put time and effort into other skills that they just never touched. There's a diagram that I once saw about how to learn stuff. I think maybe even Elon Musk posted it, where instead of trying to learn stuff like in a line where you just learn up from what your skill is, you learn it in a T. So you learn all the skills in your discipline, but then you also go left and right to learn skills from other disciplines and other areas of life that therefore make you stand out within your actual skill set more, because you're not just relying on this kind of one linear area of skills. You're taking skills of like public speaking. You're then taking skills from marketing and other elements, maybe sales, to be able to actually like convey and express your skills in a way that would work well when negotiating with a client you want to work for. All these other things that maybe initially feel like, hey, I don't want to learn about that. I don't care about marketing and stuff. I just want to be like the best piano player. I want to be a music producer. That's what I want to do. Like, do that. But you're at a big disadvantage if you don't also try and learn these other skills. And you could be, as I said, better than many other music producers out there. But if you don't have any of these other skills here, you're not going to actually get ahead. And people are going to think these other people are better than you, but they're not. They just got better at skills that make them more visible and more seenable to the people who actually want to consume what their art is and would like to consume what their art is. So you want to see how terrible I was speaking to the camera a few years ago, and you want to see how much better I am at now. Hopefully, maybe you don't agree that I'm a lot better. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you an unlisted link to one of my first early terrible videos, and then you can respond back and say, oh my God, you're so terrible. Or maybe like, Adam, you were so much better back then. You should quit. If you like creativity and freelance insights and advice like this, you should check out my newsletter, Creativepreneur. It's a bi-weekly blog where I post about topics in relation to what it's like living as a freelancer, and advices and things that I discover that I feel like would be valuable to share with you to help you also on your journey of navigating this quite confusing world sometimes of living life as a freelance creative. Definitely check it out. It's free. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.